cases is an plus here settled. The grant ability to consider matters shall come. What are the operations which are faithful, and also promoting them glory, advance peace, prosperity, welfare of our country, and those whose interests are committed to our church. Amen. Start now.
That assembly, fifth session, the County Assembly of Nyeri, and orders of the day. Wednesday, 24th June, 2026 at 2:30 p.m. afternoon sitting. Prayers. Administration of oath, communication from the chair, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers. Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, statements. Order number 8, motions and bills.
Order number 1.
Administration of oath is none.
Order number 2.
Communication from the chair. First one, for announcement of the budget, I write revenue raising measures. First one to professionals of standing order number 223. The Honorable Speaker will today invite the Executive Committee member for Finance to make a public pronouncement for the budget highlight at revenue raising measures for the county government of Nyeri for the financial year 2026-2027.
Good afternoon, all members. I take this opportunity to extend a warm welcome to the County Secretary, County Executive Committee members, Chief Officers, and all County Officers present in this honorable House, today in support of the County Executive Committee member for Finance, as it discharges its fiduciary duty of public accountability to the people of Nyeri County. This sitting has been convened pursuant to provisions of Section 132(1) and 2 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012 and Standing Order 223 of the County Assembly of Nyeri Standing Orders. Section 132 of the Act and the Standing Order 223 require the County Executive Committee member for Finance, with the approval of the County Executive Committee, to make a pronouncement on the revenue raising measures of the county government for each financial year. In compliance with these provisions, the business of this afternoon's sitting has been scheduled to facilitate the County Executive Committee member for Finance and Economic Planning to make a pronouncement on the budget highlights and the revenue raising measures of the county government for the financial year 2026-2027. Honourable members, this process is an important aspect of the fiscal transparency and accountability, providing an opportunity for the county government to outline its priorities, projected revenues, and measures intended to support the implementation of its development agenda. And I wish to invite the County Executive Member for Finance and Economic Planning to address this honourable House and make the pronouncement on the budget highlights and other raising measures. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, colleagues, and the great people of Nyeri, I rise before this distinguished House to present the budget statement for the financial year 2026-2027. This is the fourth budget we deliver together under the Third County Integrated Development Plan, and it carries forward with conviction the promises we made to the people of this county. Mr. Speaker, I make this pronouncement in fulfillment of Section 1.2.1 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012 and its attendant regulations, which require me as a County Executive Committee member responsible for finance to lay before this House the policy highlights and the revenue-raising measures that will anchor our spending in the coming year. Allow me to say from the outset, Mr. Speaker, that this statement is more than a ledger of figures. It is an account of stewardship, a record of what has been delivered, and a statement of where the county government intends to go. Behind every allocation in this document stands a citizen, a household, a ward whose aspirations it seeks to serve. Mr. Speaker, this budget is tabled at a moment of cautious optimism. The economy is stabilizing, even as the external environment remains uncertain. It is in such circumstances that prudence and ambition must be carefully balanced, and that is the balance that these estimates seek to strike. Mr. Speaker, the priorities reflected here do not originate from the county treasury. They were articulated by our people through forums in every ward and sub-county, complemented by digital engagements. Our youth, women, persons living with disabilities, farmers, and traders all contributed to shaping this budget. It is for this reason, Mr. Speaker, in deliberate alignment with the national budget policy, that the theme of this budget is sustaining the bottom-up economic transformation agenda for resilient and inclusive growth amid global uncertainty. This theme commits the county government of Nyeri to protecting the gains made, cushioning our people against external shocks, and ensuring that the growth of Nyeri is felt across every household. Allow me to give some recent county development outlook. Mr. Speaker, allow me to begin with a candid review of the year now ending. The financial year 2025-2026 called for both ambition and resolve. It demanded ambition to sustain service delivery and resolve to maintain fiscal discipline in challenging operating environment. Mr. Speaker, the approved estimates for the financial year 2025-2026 stood at Kenya shillings 9.44 billion, of which 6.32 billion, which is 66.98%, was recurring, and Kenya shillings 3.12 billion, which is at 3.01% development, in conformity with 30% development threshold set in Section 107, subsection 2B of the PFM Act. Mr. Speaker, implementation was not without challenges. The delayed enactment of the County Government Additional Allocation Act 2025 held back additional grants. The national transition to the electronic government procurement (EGP) system slowed the start of new works, and persistent delays in the exchequer releases tested our cash flow planning at every turn. Notwithstanding these constraints, Mr. Speaker, the county government of Nyeri has continued to sustain its momentum. By the close of the third quarter, our own source revenue had risen to Kenya shillings 530 million, which is an increase of Kenya shillings 68.7 million or 14.9% compared to Kenya shillings 261.3 million collected in the same period the previous year. This growth, Mr. Speaker, is a clear indication that our revenue reforms are taking root. Mr. Speaker, over the same period, the Nyeri County Health Services Fund collected Kenya shillings 764.3 million against an annual target of Kenya shillings 850 million, even as Kenya shillings 328.3 million in claims owed by Social Health Authority (SHA) remained unpaid to us. Mr. Speaker, the county government of Nyeri received 4.59 billion in equitable share and Kenya shillings 593.4 million in conditional grants. Out of this, Kenya shillings 4.6 billion was spent on recurrent, while Kenya shillings 735.1 million was spent on development activities. Mr. Speaker, having accounted for these resources, allow me now to report on what the county government of Nyeri has delivered. Across every sector, financial year 2025-2026 has been a year of tangible and measurable impact, and I wish to place these achievements on record. Mr. Speaker, I begin with health, which carried the largest allocation of Kenya shillings 3.1 billion, accounting for 1/3 of the total county budget. The results were significant. As of 31st May 2026, the Health Services Fund had cumulatively collected over Kenya shillings 1.42 billion, and registration into the Social Health Authority (SHA) rose to 72.2% of residents, placing Nyeri 5th in the nation. Our facilities recorded over 2.03 million outpatient visits and 43,986 admissions. Mr. Speaker, 128 of our 103 facilities were onboarded onto the Tibabu Health Information System, and the United States Centers for Disease Control endorsed Nyeri Primary Health Care Network as a model for the country. Mr. Speaker, on health infrastructure, the year delivered substantial progress. Construction advanced on the Tetu Level 4 Hospital at Wamagana, which is set to become a 150-bed facility. Karatina Sub-County Hospital opened a new accident and emergency block. The Udaya Level 4 theater was completed, and maternity units at Karatina and Almoro were delivered. We recruited 106 health workers, sustained 2,510 community health promoters, and recorded no stockouts of critical commodities at our referral facilities. Turning to agriculture, Mr. Speaker, the county government of Nyeri invested Kenya shillings 112.65 million of its own funds and leveraged a further Kenya shillings 236.25 million through the National Agricultural Value Chain Development Project, NAVCDP. At our flagship fertilizer subsidy program, 1,701 metric tons of subsidized fertilizer reached 11,793 farmers through 11 satellite stores. We distributed 53,333 improved chicks, inseminated 10,000 dairy animals, vaccinated 50,000 animals, and transformed Wabogo Agricultural Training Center into a hatchery, a zero grazing unit, a common leather user facility, and a 6-pod aquapark. Mr. Speaker, in education, the county government of Nyeri strengthened the foundations of opportunity. 41 new ECD classrooms were constructed and a further 31 were renovated, while digital learning was rolled out to 214 ECD centers. In our vocational training centers, 1,876 young people graduated with artisan certificates. Through our partnership with the ACD Foundation, 1,000 trainees received fully paid tuition and startup toolkits to launch them into self-reliance. On water and climate resilience, Mr. Speaker, the county government of Nyeri laid 223 kilometers of pipeline, distributed 73 storage tanks, rehabilitated the Rusoi Earth Dam, planted over 17,550 tree seedlings, and restored 20 hectares of Tumutumu forest. At the climate action, we delivered 4 solar coffee dryers, serving 5,000 farmers, and a 4 dairy serve at Waraza Farmers Cooperative Society, benefiting over 2,000 dairy farmers. Mr. Speaker, at the roads and energy, the county government of Nyeri graded 121 kilometers and gravelled over 20 kilometers of road using its machinery. While road specific allocations advanced, they upgraded over further 71.7 kilometers. In lighting, we installed 341 solar street lights, 378 floodlights, and 127 conventional lights. Rehabilitated 8 high-mast units and connected 65 households to power, extending trading hours and enhancing security in our trading centers. Significantly, Mr. Speaker, the steady shift to solar streetlights and high-mast units will contribute towards cutting the county's recurring electricity bill in the long run. Mr. Speaker, in the area of trade and enterprise, the Nyeri County Enterprise Fund continued to support local businesses. The fund sustained a loan portfolio of Kenya shillings 98.8 million. This benefited 218 traders and small businesses across the county. At the same time, works progressed on our flagship county aggregation and industrial park. Mr. Speaker, in tourism and culture, the 7th annual Tourism and Culture Festival was held successfully, drawing approximately 6,000 participants and offering a vibrant platform to showcase our heritage and the economic potential of the sector. In the cooperative movement, Mr. Speaker, 16 new cooperative societies were registered and a further 83 were audited, strengthening governance and safeguarding the savings of our members. Mr. Speaker, in the area of youth, gender, and inclusion, the county government of Nyeri recorded notable progress. The Youth Summit convened over 5,000 young people. Over 142 youth, women, and persons living with disability groups were economically empowered, and more than 1,600 beneficiaries were reached through mentorship. Mr. Speaker, the county government of Nyeri makes significant investments in sports development and talent promotion. The flagship Governors Cup was successfully organized. It attracted over 200 football and volleyball teams from across the county. The tournament nurtured talent and promoted social cohesion among our youth. Sports uniform and equipment were distributed to over 100 teams countywide. Mr. Speaker, the county government of Nyeri also strengthened its sports infrastructure. Facilities were upgraded and rehabilitated across the county. A new basketball court was constructed at Nyeri Stadium, while local teams were further supported with uniform and equipment through the Research program. These investments expanded access to quality facilities and encouraged healthy, active lifestyles among our people. Mr. Speaker, our support for athletes with disabilities bore remarkable fruits. The county government of Nyeri facilitated 8 deaf athletes to take part in the National Deaflympics trials. 4 of them were selected to represent Kenya at the 25th Summit Deaflympics in Tokyo, Japan. Subsequently, Mr. Speaker, Ian Kahiga Waboi won gold and broke a long-standing world record in this competition. The Nyeri women's deaf basketball team was also supported to participate in national selection trials. This was a powerful affirmation that investment in every citizen yields returns, which the entire county can take pride in. Mr. Speaker, the county government of Nyeri made deliberate strides in disaster risk management and emergency response. A county toll-free emergency line code 1549 was established and operationalized. This has improved access to emergency services and reduced response time. Mr. Speaker, the county government of Nyeri also initiated the operationalization of the Nyeri County Disaster Operations Center. Once complete, the center will enable 24-hour emergency monitoring and coordination. Mr. Speaker, the county government of Nyeri has continued to promote knowledge and a culture of reading through its library services. Over 18 library awareness and community engagement forums were conducted during the year. These forums brought library services closer to our communities. Notably, Mr. Speaker, the county's libraries continue to serve approximately 50,000 users every year. About 5,000 books are borrowed annually. These services support lifelong learning and expand access to information for our residents, our students, and our young people. Mr. Speaker, the municipality of Nyeri improved urban infrastructure and services. 7.6 kilometers of roads were graded and graveled, with a further 0.4 kilometers upgraded to bitumen standard. 3 bridges were rehabilitated to improve connectivity and drainage. The municipality also collected approximately 9,927 tons of solid waste. Further, Mr. Speaker, the solid waste management unit sustained daily waste collection across the county. In partnership with the Packaging Producer Responsibility Organization, 162 tons of glass and packaging were recycled. Additionally, a new waste drop-in center was established in partnership with Waste Electrical and Electronic Equipment, collecting 2.345 tons of electronic waste. The county government of Nyeri also invested in dump site infrastructure, including a perimeter wall, a water tower at Karidodo to guard against fires. Mr. Speaker, on public service and governance, the county government of Nyeri translated 1,169 officers from contract to permanent and pensionable terms, processed salaries by the 15th of every month without arrears, and advanced an internship program that has now graduated 1,061 young people since its inception. Allow me to give some major emerging issues in public finance management. Mr. Speaker, sound public financial management is the foundation upon which service delivery rests. Under the steadfast leadership of His Excellency Governor Dr. Mutai Kahiga, the county treasury has continued to strengthen fiscal discipline, transparency, and accountability, and I wish to report on several fronts. Mr. Speaker, in line with the public sector accounting standards, the county government of Nyeri has continued its migration to accrual basis of accounting, preparing its reports on that basis and remaining firmly on course for full adoption by 30th June 2027. This reform will enable the county government to account comprehensively for all the assets and liabilities it holds in trust for the public. On procurement, Mr. Speaker, we continue to work towards seamless onboarding onto electronic government procurement system, EGP. even as we manage the transitional difficulties that have accompanied its national rollout. Once fully operational, it will enhance transparency and value for money. Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to report that despite delays in requisition, approvals, and exchequer releases, payments were made on time. I commend the resilience of our workforce who continue to serve the public faithfully, even when the county's cash flow was under strain. Mr. Speaker, on paying bills, we have been deliberate and disciplined. The stock that stood at 342.4 million at the close of the financial year 2024-2025 had been reduced to 230.97 million by the third quarter of financial year 2025-2026. We expect this figure to reduce further by close of the financial year. This steady reduction protects our suppliers from financial distress and safeguards continuity of service delivery. Mr. Speaker, our record of open governance was once again acknowledged by the International Budget Hub County Budget Transparency Survey 2025. Nyeri County was recognized with 4 distinct awards. We were named the second most transparent county in Kenya. We also emerged as the top performing county in timeliness of publishing our budget documents. The county government of Nyeri was further recognized for publishing the most comprehensive annual development plan and the county budget review outlook paper in the country. Mr. Speaker, these distinctions affirm our commitment to transparency and accountability, and they are a standard that the county government is set to sustain. Mr. Speaker, I must now address the matter of our wage bill, Cardi. In this budget, personal emoluments stand at Kenya shillings 4.6 billion, or 52.9% of the total expenditure. That is well above the 5% ceiling prescribed under the Public Finance Management Act 2012. This level is unsustainable and cannot be ignored. Mr. Speaker, the solution, however, is not a blanket freeze on improvement. The county continues to face genuine and critical staffing gaps in specialist and clinical health cadres, in technical directorates, and in frontline service units, which directly affect the quality of care and services our people receive. Mr. Speaker, the task before us is therefore one of balance. We must fill the staffing gaps most critical to service delivery while observing the discipline that PFM law demands. To this end, the county government of Nyeri will pursue targeted, needs-based recruitment guided by skills and capacity gap assessments, prioritize essential and revenue-generating cadres, and continue converting contract staff to pensionable terms, a measure that, as demonstrated this year, can lower long-term costs while securing the workforce. Mr. Speaker, our own source revenue on reforms continue. This compromises the automation of revenue streams, the deployment of additional revenue staff, tighter enforcement, and improved compliance, all of which are aimed at unlocking our local revenue potential without imposing new burdens on our residents. Allow me to give the recent national economic development outlook. In brief, globally, Mr. Speaker, growth is expected to slow to around 3.1% in year 2026 amid geopolitical tension, trade fragmentation, and volatile commodity prices. It is this uncertainty that underscores the urgency of our shared view we are called to sustain our transformation in an environment that offers new guarantees. Mr. Speaker, for counties, the decisive figures are clear. The equitable share has been set nationally at Kenya shilling 428 billion, and total transfers to counties rise to Kenya shillings 502 billion after additional allocations were included. The national government has also adopted a pending bills action plan to confront the stock of pending bills, a discipline that Nyeri County has already embraced. Mr. Speaker, this outlook is not without risk. Geopolitical conflict, commodity price shocks, climate variability, and pace of fiscal consolidation could each disrupt transfers, agriculture, and food security. A prudent county must therefore plan for these contingencies and not for the most favorable scenario alone. Accordingly, Mr. Speaker, while the national outlook offers a platform of relative stability, the county government of Nyeri has chosen to build for resilience. Nyeri has aligned its fiscal strategy with national priorities, deliberately strengthening our buffers so that, whatever the weather, our citizens continue to enjoy inclusive and sustainable development. Let me give fiscal policy and the financial year 2026-2027 budget framework. Mr. Speaker, allow me now to turn to the framework of budget before this House. Its preparation was deliberative and inclusive, beginning with the County Annual Development Plan for the financial year 2026-2027, which set the foundation of our fiscal objectives and sectoral priorities. Mr. Speaker, in keeping with our commitment to participatory governance, this process was taken to the people through physical forums in every sub-county and through digital engagement, ensuring that youth, women, persons with disabilities, traders, and civil society were all represented. Their priorities were carried into the county fiscal strategy paper, where they informed our programs and budget savings. The result, Mr. Speaker, is a budget that responds to the needs of our people and remains faithful to the County Integrated Development Plan 2023-2027. A budget developed in the truest sense from the bottom up. Mr. Speaker, prepared through zero-based approach, the total budget for the financial year 2026-2027 is Kenya shillings 8.69 billion. Of this, the current expenditure is Kenya shillings 6 billion and 2 million. That amounts to about 69.3%, comprising 4.6 billion for personal emoluments and Kenya shillings 1.43 billion for operations and maintenance. Mr. Speaker, as I have already highlighted to this distinguished House, the personal emoluments figure of 52.9% of the budget remains our central fiscal challenge, and it is one we will confront through the balanced, needs-based approach to staffing I outlined earlier, filling critical gaps while progressively reducing the long-term cost burden. Mr. Speaker, development expenditure is allocated at Kenya shillings 2.67 billion, or 30.7% of the budget, in full compliance of the Public Finance Management Act. These resources flow from the County Integrated Development Plan and the Annual Development Plan, harmonized with the national bottom-up agenda and refined by the views of the public. Mr. Speaker, the County Treasury remains committed to completing ongoing works and clearing pending bills within the year, setting aside funds for projects that roll over to ensure that service providers are paid what they are duly owed. Allow me to give expenditure priorities. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, I now turn to the expenditure priorities for the financial year 2026-2027. Mr. Speaker, the allocations that follow are strategic in nature and respond directly to the priorities raised by our people during public participation. Allow me to take this House through each one thematic area after the other. Mr. Speaker, we are determined to ensure that works already begun are brought to completion and put to use for the benefit of our people, rather than committing scarce resources to new undertakings while existing ones remain unfinished. Accordingly, the allocations for the financial year 2026-2027 are directed first towards finalizing ongoing projects before any new projects are considered. Mr. Speaker, we begin with health, which allocated a total of Kenya shillings 3.07 billion, the largest of any department. Of this, development allocation is Kenya shillings 403.9 million. The largest share, Kenya shillings 141 million, goes to health infrastructure. The allocation will enable completion of Teto Level 4 Hospital, Mokorene Outpatient Block, Karatina Accident and Emergency Block Phase 2, and Nyeri Referral, Medical, Surgical and Pediatric Works, amongst others. Mr. Speaker, a further Kenya shillings 42.8 million has been set aside for infrastructure development for dispensaries and health centers. Kenya shillings 128.8 million is provided through recurrent health grants for community health promoters and building resilient health systems. Mr. Speaker, Kenya shillings 100 million is set aside for essential drugs and medical supplies, and a further Kenya shillings 20.3 million is allocated for medical equipment. Mr. Speaker, this is over and above the Kenya shillings 850 million we expect to collect and retain through the Nyeri Health Services Fund, which will fund medical supplies, equipment maintenance, ambulance services, and improved care at the point of service. This investment, Mr. Speaker, is central to realizing universal health coverage. Mr. Speaker, roads, transport, energy, and public works is allocated Kenya shillings 471.8 million. Of this, Kenya shillings 223.8 million goes to road construction and maintenance, and Kenya shillings 198.7 million to street lighting and energy. A further Kenya shillings 24.5 million is set aside for plant and machinery. Kenya shillings 15.8 million for bridges and drainages, and Kenya shillings 9.1 million for public works buildings. With regards to increased demand for street lights, against the rising cost of electricity, Mr. Speaker, fiscal prudence must guide us. We will increasingly turn to solar and energy-saving technologies to enhance sustainability. Mr. Speaker, the broader governance, administration, and public service function is allocated Kenya shillings 480.7 million. This includes Kenya shillings 390 million in devolution support grants, Kenya shillings 50 million for legislative and ward services, Kenya shillings 23.7 million for improving the work environment and service delivery, and Kenya shillings 17 million for official residences. Mr. Speaker, the water, environment, and climate change sectors receives Kenya shillings 288.3 million. The largest share of Kenya shillings 200 million is provided as the Climate Change Resilience grant by the World Bank through the Financing Locally Led Climate Action FLOCA program, to which the county government of Nyeri has contributed Kenya shillings 75 million in counter funding. These funds are delivered through ward committees, placing climate decisions directly in the hearts of our citizens. A further Kenya shillings 82.3 million is allocated to water supply and connectivity, and Kenya shillings 6 million to environmental management. Mr. Speaker, municipal development is allocated Kenya shillings 259.7 million. This comprises 115.2 million in urban development grants under the Kenya Urban Support Program, KUSI. Kenya shillings 73.5 million for municipal roads and drainage. Kenya shillings 61.8 million for municipal solid waste management, and Kenya shillings 9.3 million for other municipal infrastructure, all to deliver cleaner and better organized urban centers. Mr. Speaker, the agriculture, livestock, aquaculture, and food security thematic area receives Kenya shillings 253.5 million. This includes Kenya shillings 110 million grant under the National Agricultural Value Chain Development Project, to which the county government of Nyeri has contributed Kenya shillings 5 million in counterpart funding. A further Kenya shillings 39.3 million goes to livestock development. Kenya shillings 31.2 million to veterinary services. Kenya shillings 20.8 million to crop development. Kenya shillings 5.85 million to aquaculture, and Kenya shillings 19.65 million to agricultural training and mechanization at Wabogo Agricultural Training Center and Agricultural Mechanization Station, AMS, Memorial, respectively. Mr. Speaker, allow me now to address the priorities that speak to the well-being of our citizens. The Gender, Youth, Sports, and Social Protection area is allocated Kenya shillings 182.75 million. Of this, 71.9 million is dedicated to social welfare and economic empowerment of our youth, women, and persons with disability, including Kenya shillings 4 million for the Youth Summit, which gives our young people a platform in governance. Mr. Speaker, for our most vulnerable, Kenya shillings 14.35 million has been set aside. This includes a dedicated gender-based violence recovery center funded at Kenya shillings 5 million. Devices for persons living with disabilities, education materials for needy learners, and staff housing at the Kaltina Children's Home that shelters our orphaned and abandoned children. A caring county, Mr. Speaker, is measured by the manner in which it provides for those least able to provide for themselves. Mr. Speaker, to strengthen public safety, Kenya shillings 74.3 million is committed to disaster and emergency management. This is anchored by Kenya shillings 50 million for the acquisition of a new fire engine. It also provides for a toll-free emergency ride and maintenance of emergency response vehicles, enhancing our capacity to respond swiftly when our people are in need. Mr. Speaker, the further Kenya shillings 15.7 million is allocated to sports development. This will support the management of county tournaments, including soccer, volleyball, and Nyeri, half marathon and track events, as well as the construction of sports facilities such as Kamukoji and Mishera courts. The allocation also provides for the purchase of sports equipment for Kikoska, Kisa, and the Nyeri County Youth Sports Tournament, the half marathon, and EWD sports. Mr. Speaker, this allocation makes deliberate provision for inclusion. A dedicated Kenya shillings 1 million is set aside for the support of sports for persons with disabilities, so that the talents of every citizen is nurtured. Mr. Speaker, lands, housing, physical planning, and urban development receives Kenya shillings 94.9 million. This includes Kenya shillings 27.2 million in urban development grants under the Kenya Informal Settlement Improvement Project. Kenya shillings 29.8 million for physical planning and survey, and Kenya shillings 4.5 million for the improvement of the work environment, and Kenya shillings 3.4 million for housing development. Mr. Speaker, education is allocated Kenya shillings 80.8 million. Of this, Kenya shillings 7.1 million goes to our vocational training centers, and Kenya shillings 31.05 million to ECD infrastructure, with a further Kenya shillings 5.6 million for ECD learning materials Mr. Speaker, Kenya shillings 4 million has also been set aside to offer training for our border riders, equipping them with skills for safer and more productive enterprise. Together, Mr. Speaker, these investments expand access to learning and skills for our children and young people. Mr. Speaker, recognizing the central role of technology in modern service delivery, a total of 66 million is directed to information, communication, and technology investments across multiple departments. The largest share of Kenya shillings, 51.2 million, is for ICT systems and software. This is anchored by Kenya shillings 28.5 million for the completion and operationalization of the Electronic Development Application and Management Systems, EDAPS, for our lands and physical planning services, and Kenya shillings 15.25 million for the revenue management system that underpins our own source revenue. A further Kenya shillings 3 million, Mr. Speaker, is provided for staff recruitment system. Kenya shillings 2 million for the digitization of human resource records. Kenya shillings 2 million for county asset tagging, and Kenya shillings 0.5 million for the digital mapping of tourism and cultural sites. Mr. Speaker, the balance comprises of Kenya shillings 8.3 million for ICT equipment across departments, Kenya shillings 3.5 million for security and surveillance, and Kenya shillings 3 million for network and connectivity. These investments will strengthen service delivery county-wide. Mr. Speaker, solid waste and sanitation receives Kenya shillings 46 million to fuel and maintain our garbage trucks, purchase skip bins and safety gear, and expired recycling across the county. The matter of a dumping site needs to be addressed as a matter of urgency, and I urge this House to consider that issue with the importance it deserves. Mr. Speaker, trade, industry, tourism, culture, and cooperatives is allocated Kenya shillings 177 million. This includes 150 million as the county's counterpart funding towards our flagship county aggregation industrial park, KAIP. Kenya shillings 12 million for market infrastructure. Kenya shillings 4.5 million for tourism development. Kenya shillings 4 million for cooperative development. Kenya shillings 4 million for trade promotion and regulation. And Kenya shillings 2.5 million for culture and arts. In summary, Mr. Speaker, this budget responds directly to the priorities raised by the people of Nyeri. It is people-driven, climate-conscious, and resilient, and it is designed to leave no one or citizen behind. Allow me to turn to the financial year 2026-2027 budget estimate financing. Mr. Speaker, the credibility of any budget rests on the revenues that finance it. This budget will be funded from equitable share, additional grants, and loans from development partners, and our own locally generated revenue. Mr. Speaker, the county government expects to receive Kenya shillings 6.98 billion as equitable share, the bedrock of our resource envelope, supplemented by Kenya shillings 916.2 million in loans and conditional grants, supporting community health promoters, health systems, informal settlement upgrading, devolution support, urban development, agricultural value chains, and climate action. Mr. Speaker, to this we add a target of Kenya shillings 800 million in own source revenue, drawn from land rates, business permits, market fees, parking charges, and other levies, together with Kenya shillings 850 million to be collected and retained with the Health Services Fund and as appropriation in aid. Mr. Speaker, Our own source revenue is central to our fiscal self-reliance. It insulates our services from the uncertainty of delayed exchequer releases. And the 14.9% growth recorded by the third quarter of this year affirms that our reforms are taking effect. Mr. Speaker, our strategy is to raise more revenue from the existing base rather than to impose new burdens on our people through tighter enforcement, automation, improved compliance, and resolution of revenue disputes through alternative means. To that end, Mr. Speaker, I have today submitted the Nyeri County Finance Bill 2026. The bill aligns our fees with the real cost of services and with our national laws, harmonizes market charges across our training centers, and formalizes new revenue streams. Mr. Speaker, permit me to illustrate the measures with specific examples. On the few fees that have increased, the adjustments are driven by the rising cost of materials and operations, and in most cases, the fact that the charges have remained unchanged for many years. Mr. Speaker, at the medical services, the charge for a complete denture rises from 6,000 Kenya shillings to 10,000, reflecting the sharp increase in the cost of denture materials. Oxygen administration moves from Kenya shillings 500 to Kenya shillings 1,800 per day to meet the actual cost of procuring oxygen. And the patient file rises from Kenya shillings 250 to Kenya shillings 450. The price at which the county government now procures it. And the land dispute mediation fee increases from Kenya shillings 1,000 to 5,000 to support county-led resolution of disputes and spare residents the far greater cost of litigation. Mr. Speaker, the county government of Nyeri has also deliberately reduced certain charges to cushion the public. The LEEP gynecological procedure is reduced from 3,000 Kenya shillings to 1,500 in recognition that it's a simple procedure performed at a local anesthesia. Likewise, the fee for youth-operated smart fish kiosk is reduced from Kenya shillings 5,000 to Kenya shillings 3,000 to lower the barrier to entry for our young entrepreneurs. Mr. Speaker, the bill further introduces new revenue streams that formalize emerging economic activities. This includes charges for the leather value addition services at Wagogo Common Leather Facility, an alcoholic drinks distributor motor vehicle sticker at Kenya shillings 1,000 per annum, the sale of gold cups at Wagogo ATC, harmonized market fees across our trading centers, and modest annual public health charges on institutions such as financial and communication establishments. These new streams will broaden our revenue base by capturing services that previously generated no return to the county. Mr. Speaker, in the same spirit, redundant and duplicated fees have been deleted to streamline the framework, including the separate postmortem on request fee, since all postmortems are now charged at a single uniform rate. In sum, Mr. Speaker, we broaden the revenue base responsibly, increasing charges only where costs compel it, offering relief where we can, and never placing the burden on those least able to bear it. Let me give a highlight on deficit financing. Mr. Speaker, I confirm to this House that the financial year 2026-2027 budget is balanced. It is to be financed fully through the equitable share, conditional grants and donor funds, transfers from the national government agencies, and own source revenue, including appropriations in aid from Health Services Fund. That means, in short, we don't intend to borrow as a county. Mr. Speaker, owing to the implementation challenges I've described, particularly the electronic government procurement system, EGP, transition and delayed exchequer leases, some contracts may roll over into the next financial year as ongoing works or pending bills. The precise position can only be confirmed once the current financial year closes. Accordingly, Mr. Speaker, eligible pending commitments with corresponding votes in this budget will, upon approval, be treated as a fast charge in the respective departments in line with the regulation 41(2) of the PFM regulations, safeguarding our service providers and ensuring uninterrupted service to the public. Mr. Speaker, I restate my commitment to pay our contractors and service providers promptly, so long as no exogenous shocks disrupt the county's cash flow. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the financial year 2026-27 budget represents a deliberate step towards sustaining the gains of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda with a clear focus on resilient and inclusive growth amid global uncertainty. Each thematic allocation reflects the priorities of the people we serve. Mr. Speaker, we remain firmly convinced that development must be people-led and people-owned. The county government of Nyeri will therefore continue to strengthen public participation so that our citizens remain not merely beneficiaries of the budget, but active partners in shaping it. Mr. Speaker, allow me to extend my sincere gratitude to His Excellency the Governor, Dr. Mutai Kahiga, whose visionary leadership guided the preparation of this budget and kept it firmly anchored to the priorities of the people of Nyeri. I also thank you, Mr. Speaker, and this Honorable House for the partnership between the Executive and the Assembly, which has strengthened our planning and decision-making at every stage. Mr. Speaker, I appreciate all honorable members for their diligent deliberations, and in particular, the Budget and Appropriation Committees, the Finance and Economic Planning Committee, the sectoral committees, and the leadership of the House for refining these estimates. I wish to recognize my fellow County Executive Committee members, all accounting officers, and the dedicated team in the Department of Finance, Economic Planning and ICT, whose professionalism delivered this budget in time. Mr. Speaker, to the people of Nyeri, I offer my deepest gratitude. Your participation made this document truly yours, and we will implement it with transparency, prudence, and impact. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I thank my family for their unwavering support, which gives me the strength to serve the people of Nyeri. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. May God bless us all. May God bless Nyeri County. May God bless Kenya. Asanteni sana.
Messages is none. Petitions is none. Papers is none. Motions, notices of motions, we have none. Statements, we have none. Motions and bills, we have none.
Honourable members, together with our guests, is the County Secretary, County Executive Committee members, Chief Officers, and all County officers present in this Honourable House, together with our guests. This House will now adjourn to next week on Tuesday at 9 a.m. I also want to invite our guests, together with our members, for a cup of tea at the for several gardens. Come on,